This is going great.
As I'd never seen anyone. As I'd never seen anyone that excited during a chess match before.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Very Special Relationship, the show that gazes across the Atlantic and says, "Oh, so yours is a mess too?" I'm your host, Andrea Bridges-Smith of the Phoenix News Network, and with me here is my co-host, noted British person, and host of The Interesting Times, Matt Johnston. Matt, how are things going over there?
Not bad, Andrea. Not too bad at all. I do see, though, that round two of pick your worst person to be sat next to on a long haul flight was in full swing the other night. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So last night was the second GOP presidential debate, and it was an absolute snooze fest. No one really did an excellent job, but I would say that Nikki Haley and Tim Scott did fairly well. Chris Christie was there continuing to hammer Trump, which is always refreshing. Vivek Ramaswamy tried to act like a grown-up this time, which weirdly made things worse. Mike Pence referenced his sex life, which gave everyone the ick. Yeah, it was not pleasant. And then Ron DeSantis, of course, still does not know how facial expressions are supposed to work. The robotics company that constructed him still has a little bit of tinkering to do on that. Also, Doug Burgum was present. So that was nice.
Well, good on Doug. Good on Doug, I say. Oh, and speaking of Republicans, of course, one person you didn't mention, the orange elephant in the room, Donald J. Trump, was shown as being, I understand, 10 points ahead of Biden in the poll. Should we, and when I say we, I mean, of course, the rest of the world, be a little concerned, Andrea?
Well, yes and no. Yes, because the idea of Trump ever being ahead of Biden is worrying in a soul of humanity is rotting kind of a way. But no, because remember, Matt, our presidential elections are 482 months long, and a lot could happen between now and the actual election day. So if there is a time for him to be ahead in the polls, I would prefer it to be now and not, say a week before that day. So I think we're okay. Plus, I think Trump has to be feeling a little bit nervous after this week's latest legal ruling against him. And boy, aren't there so many. It's a delight to me personally. So a judge decided that he committed a whole bunch of fraud in his businesses, which I'm sure is very hard for you to believe, Matt.
Honestly, he just seemed so trustworthy. I can't get over it.
I know. We're all very surprised by this. Now, the reason that this one kind of stings for him is because, his entire reputation is that of a savvy businessman. And this is yet another reminder that he is actually not. Democrats celebrated this ruling with their usual schadenfreude-laden drunken orgy party, and Republicans retaliated by donating their life savings to Trump so he could keep paying lawyers off, which actually, now that I think about it, is kind of a savvy business model after all. We should look into that, Matt.
Yeah. I suppose that could work in a sort of you're all a bit gullible sort of way.
Right, Matt. Are we not spending enough time taking advantage of gullible people? We're doing all this comedy stuff. I just don't know if we're pointed in the right direction.
And remember, there's one born every minute. That's what we say.
It's true. Gives us excellent odds. Now, Matt, I understand that Storm Agnes has hit the UK. Is everything all right over there?
Oh, yes. Well, as people outside the UK will attest to, much of Agnes, or indeed all of it, looks to be giving us a miss. When I say us, of course, I mean London. Ireland will face the brunt of it, as they tend to when it comes to weather, let's be honest, because it comes over, from the west. Then it will hit the west and the north, basically Scotland or Wales. Although the southwest, my home county, Devon, and indeed mostly Cornwall, will also get a lot of a hit too. So there's going to be lots of rain. Hey, it is autumn. 80-mile-per-hour winds. Please stay safe, people. Stay safe. Meanwhile, in London, we will have temperatures of 21 degrees and dry. I've no doubt we'll find something to moan about.
Well, if you like, you can come to Texas and moan about the fact that it's still summer, and it will be for the foreseeable future.
Oh, sounds horrifying.
Yeah, it is. It's really, I'm so over this heat. Everyone is over this heat. I read an article that they did a study and they found that in overly hot temperatures that people tend to drink more, which does not bode well for the livers of a warming planet. So yeah,
Yeah.
that can be rough. So, Matt, big news over here this week. Our government is hurtling towards a shutdown this weekend. We're at the point now where even if everyone did join hands and sing Kumbaya in agreement, it would still take too long to prevent the shutdown. So it's looking like we're pretty much stuck with it, barring some sort of miracle. And I'm just curious, how are the British feeling as they look at this nonsense that we are doing to ourselves?
Yeah, a certain curiousness, I suppose. Although it seems for the Conservatives, they're seeing a little bit of a blueprint. One such individual is somebody called Suella Braverman, our Home Secretary. No doubt you heard of her. Our
Yes.
less than homely Home Secretary. Well, she was in the US last week preaching about the dangers of migration. What else? To a US right-wing think tank. And I always think the term right-wing think tank is always a bit of an oxymoron, let's be honest.
Right.
Apparently, she's positioning herself for a leadership challenge. Now, this is something we spoke about, I think, last week, might have been the week before.
Right.
Anyway, it's Conservative Party conference soon, next week or so. And we're 1 month away from being 1 year since Rishi Sunak took over. So as you know, Andrea, I think if Sunak loses the next two elections in England, I think he'll be gone.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice, right?
It's been lovely
Got my
Christmas
fingers
present.
crossed. Yes, yes. I know you've been asking Santa for that one for quite some time now. Now, Matt, I do know one way out of this government shutdown mess for us, and it involves a little bit of help from you.
Whatever we can do, Andrea.
All right, great. So, what would it take to get a few trillion pounds from you guys so we can fund the government and avoid this little shutdown? Just name your terms. We can name
I'll tell
something
you what,
after you, whatever you want.
let's have a chat with Rishi and see what he's got in the way of spare change, right? He's probably got something lying around, maybe something down the back of the sofa, couch. You guys call it couch, sofa?
We use both. But yeah, always. I bet Rishi Sunak's couch cushions are could probably feed a third world country for a couple of months at least.
Easily.
All right, great. We'll have
Tax
a look.
deductible as well.
God forbid it's not tax deductible. Now, Matt, it looks like the British Museum has had several hundred Greek and Roman relics stolen. Is there anything else stolen besides, the rest of the contents of the museum?
Yeah. Now, before anyone gets too excited, this isn't some Robin Hood stealing from the rich and given to the people it belongs to scenario. No, this is approximately up to 2,000 artifacts that have gone missing and in all likelihood aren't going to be found again. This is due to poor cataloguing of said artifacts. Do you know who I blame, Andrea? Londoners. Now, we have a bit of a history when it comes to kleptomania. For instance, did you know back in the good old days of chopping off people's heads and putting them on spikes on London Bridge, people used to steal them as gruesome souvenirs? I know that's unusual, right? But it's a practice that was repeated just a few years ago when plastic heads on spikes outside the London Bridge experience was swiped in 2019. Honestly, if it's not nailed down, we're going to have it away.
Well, I've never seen a severed head on a spike and thought, I've got to have one. So that's a very interesting hobby. I do have to say that Americans would never do something like that. Well, unless you've got a nice little parcel of land about the size of a continent, and then we might swipe just a pinch of that, maybe even 2 pinches.
Yeah, keep pinching it. Absolutely. So, Andrea, now this one caught my eye. I saw that a US Grand Chess Master has been accused of cheating during a chess tournament by getting messages vibrated through anal beads. I mean, where to begin with this one? I'm guessing the organisers got a bit suspicious as I've never seen anyone that excited during a chess match before, right?
Yeah, so you know how in tennis matches, when they make those overly dramatic noises every time they hit the ball, they're like, Well, if someone does that during a chess match, then you're gonna want to check for vibrating anal beads. That's the only explanation.
Honestly, I'm seeing competitive sport in a whole new light. New balls, please.
Yes, the ball boys function very different in the chess tournament than it is in the
Whose
tennis
serve
match.
is it? Yes.
Right. Check and mate.
All right. So I just thought I'd quickly pick up on this, Andrea. So in the UK at the moment, there's this whole thing going on about free speech. Basically, GB News, who are like a more dreadful version of Fox News over in the US, have been censored, I suppose. They look to be being censored anyway, over some sort of, there have been a load of complaints about a chap called Lawrence Fox who made misogynistic claims against this woman reporter and stuff. And it's brought up this whole thing about free speech. So I'm just wondering if I could have your take on that.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, free speech is very important to us. It is, right there at the beginning of the Constitution, and it's something that we take pretty seriously over here. And I think the right to free speech means you can say whatever you want, and we will not arrest you or throw you into a black ops CIA site. Not that we have those. We definitely have those. But, it doesn't keep you from experiencing any consequences, So, for example, there's a fellow by the name of Donald Trump. You may have heard of him. And he's having a little bit of a free speech moment this week because they're trying to, in one of his cases, put a gag order on him so that he cannot say things about the case on social media. And the reason they're trying to do that is because every time he does say something bad about a judge or jurors or something like that, those people tend to get death threats from his followers, and his followers will show up outside their homes and offices with a van full of automatic weapons and a ton of ammo. Not that it's horrible that you can just go out and buy as many guns or ammo as you possibly want in this country. That's fine. But it's the using it part. No, actually, let me be clear. That's dumb. People should not be able to have vans full of guns and ammo.
Yeah, basically, I think I get what you're saying. Essentially, free speech isn't consequence-free speech. You can't deliver hate speech. There are consequences to that. It's like any form of there is responsibility there, isn't there? I remember seeing this saying which said something along the lines of, if you're not prepared to write in 4-letter high words, 4-foot high words outside your house, what you shouldn't be prepared to write it on the internet. And I thought that's a very good way to, live your life. I mean, I've been on other shows before, as I'm sure you have. And the very first thing they do is basically turn around to you and say, there are certain things you can and can't say. This is editorial content and stuff, because they're the ones that get into trouble because effectively you've done it on their show, So, all these things, as I say, these things do have consequences. Very good point.
Yeah, I think, with saying something like saying hate speech, saying like, I agree with the Nazis. You are not going to be thrown in jail for saying that. But if someone shows that to your boss and they fire you because they don't want the headache of dealing with you, that's not protected by the Constitution. That's not protected by free speech. You absolutely will face consequences for that, And there's also this element of, cancel culture here. So people, it's like, oh, that person said something horrible and we canceled them and we shouldn't do that. That's cancel culture. And it's like, well, I mean, if that person says something really terrible, I don't want to give them time or money or energy anymore. I've effectively canceled them in my brain, and I have the right to do that. And they are going to have to face those consequences. The Constitution does not protect them from that.
I mean, yes, obviously last week there was this whole business with Russell Brand and the fact that he's been demonetized by YouTube and stuff. And I was saying, essentially, they're not a news platform. They're not a free speech platform. Even you could say they're a platform driven by adverts. So effectively, by doing this, you're kind of turning around and saying the advertisers will get a bit nervous when they look at sort of handing over money. I mean, Russell Brand rose to prominence through popularity. So lack of popularity is going to make him go the opposite direction. It seems to be fairly straightforward. I mean, I don't want to get to the stage where everything is just mundane. I think we should still be allowed to sort of say what we want. But obviously, like anything else, this comes within reason. You And there are consequences for every action.
If you campaigned on a platform of shipping people to Rwanda, which I'm pretty sure you don't have planned, and then you don't get elected, you don't say, oh well, there were consequences for my free speech. It's like, nope, that was you said a thing and people didn't like it and they went another direction. Or in your case, they haven't. But one day soon, Matt, these next couple of by-elections, it's going to be good.
Yes, I can see it. I can honestly, I can breathe it. I can taste it. I'm getting carried away. Anyway, thank you very much, Andrea. I'll tell you what, we've covered quite a bit this week, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
And indeed, thank you everyone out there for joining us today. And please do subscribe to Andrea's channel while you're here, which is Phoenix News Network. As I say, you're actually on the channel at the moment. That's how you're able to watch this podcast. So you might as well, subscribe to it while you're here. As I say, you can find more about American political antiques. She does a video every weekend.
Every Friday, and tomorrow is our 100th episode, so it's going to be a big one.
Look out for that. And for me, my channel, which deals with, let's be honest, the Brit shit, is called At the Interesting Times UK. So same time next week, Andrea?
Actually, let's meet up the week after. So in 2 weeks, we will be back with more. But next week, I need to take a break after our 100th episode because, again, it's going to be a very big one.
Hopefully she'll have sobered up by then. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.